Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I want to apologize for not getting out more commentary videos recently. I've been in the middle of a move, and so it was difficult because the commentary videos really take a long time. They take like 3 times longer than the no commentary, but I know that people do like the no commentary, so I'll be trying to release more of both. But anyway, I wanted to do something a little bit differently this time, and we're going to be watching some gameplay of an old game that I used to play that I loved. It is one of my all-time favorite card games, called Infinity Wars. Now this game came out before Marvel Infinity Wars stuff, so it's got nothing to do with Marvel. But it's an incredibly complex game. There was a very high learning curve for it, and so I'm going to kind of go over it a little bit, and I'm doing this because I have found out that I thought the game had died due to incompetent owners, which is such a shame because you hate to see it, and it happens more often than it should, because there's a great game, people love it, and then the owners or the developers or whoever are in charge of it, and they just run it into the ground. So I'm sure that any gamer out there understands that concept and has seen that, and it sucks. But the game is out there. It's under a different name, and I want to check it out. But I'm scared. I'm scared to check it out because I don't want them to ruin my favorite game. You know what I mean? But we're still going to give it a try. Before that, though, I want to go over the old style, and I'll probably do this in 2 parts, two different videos, just because it's going to take a while. And for those that are interested in learning about the game the old way, watch this, and then the next video will be gameplay of the newer version. Okay? So let's get into it. Now, the unique thing about the game, I know it doesn't look beautiful, especially not by today's standards, but this was I want to say 10, 12 years ago or something like that. Maybe even older than that. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. But I was a kid when I started playing this, and I put in well over 1,000 hours. Well over. This, I think that they really could have improved on the game board some. It could have been really great. But, I mean, by today's standards, hopefully we see that change in the new release, or in the second version of it, that the game board looks better. They were having financial issues, the company, I mean, because nobody was buying the cards. It's a trading card game in the true sense, a digital trading card game where you could literally trade your cards. Some of the things that they did wrong was that they did not create an auction house. People were selling their cards. This was like NFTs before NFTs were a thing. And so people were selling their cards, and the company wasn't getting any money out of that. If they had created an auction house where it's a safe place to sell your cards and trade your cards, I think they never would have gone over. They probably would be one of the biggest games today. But right now, nobody really knows them. And I think that is why. Because they didn't take into consideration. They were focused on creating fun. One guy was, anyway. The other guy was off in the clouds. But but anyway, the game itself is very complex, but it is, once you kind of get the beginnings of it, you can master it, and you'll understand that it's something beautiful, the way that the game plays. Some of the main features are that the cards are animated, which I love. Too often, there's digital trading cards, and they don't do anything on the digital side. They make plain static cards, when, it's the digital age, you can animate those things. Like Harry Potter, the images were always animated. That's supposed to be through magic, but hey, digital is magical. You can make the cards move. And I love that they did that. Second is simultaneous turns. So, and you'll see this when we start watching, getting into this, that the turns happen at the same time. You make your move, and then you hit the resolve button, and it'll resolve immediately both turns. So there's strategy that goes into that, and fake outs and different things that you can do to get the edge, and things that you have to do if you want to survive. With that said, I'll probably go into some tangents as we watch, but let's get to it so this video isn't like a million hours long. See, you start off drawing a card. You will see that when the card is drawn, there are several different costs. Well, that's a spell. Let's wait for a character here. Okay, so this is Rita, Shadow Priestess. She is a unique character, as is stated here on the card. Unique character, human. There's a cost of 5. There's a purple circle here in the left corner. And then there's a number 10 underneath the 5. And then we've got a fist with 5 and a health sign with 15. Plus, there's all this dialogue here. So there's a lot going on a single card. And I think that kind of scared off a lot of people that are unfamiliar, or just, at the time, Hearthstone was the big thing, and you know how simple Hearthstone cards are. And compared to this, it's a whole different league of complication. And all these things mean something. So, unique character means they can only have one of these characters out at a time. So you could have multiple in your deck, right? But if you play one, then you won't be able to play the other, no matter where it is on the game board. And we'll get to the game board here in a second. This purple circle here, that's part of the faction. I think it was called Vora. The purple faction. They are more about spells and magic and stuff like that. A lot of their spell cards will instantly kill, so they're quite popular. The 5 is a mana cost. The 10 is another unique thing, which is great, called morale cost. And in this game, there's 2 ways to lose. You can lose all your health, or you can lose all your morale. And I love that, because all your cards have a cost to them to play. Other than mana, there's like a penalty for losing out your cards. There's a penalty for it. You can't just play them freely. And that's another unique concept. I haven't seen that in other card games, and I love it. And so if your morale gets to 0, then you can have 100 health and still lose. And there's factions and decks they can build around that idea. Next up is the fist, which is the damage, and the health here is obviously the character health. Pretty standard on those concepts. And the text here says, at the end of every turn Rita is on the battlefield, create a 2/2 worshiper character. The battlefield is the area that's either the attack zone, the defense zone, or the support zone. There's also these 3 cards here that you'll notice. That is the commander zone, and that is different from the actual battlefield. So Rita can be in the support zone, the attack zone, or the defense zone, and this passive will work. If she is in the command zone, then it will not. And then she has this other ability, sacrifice character, heal 5 damage from Rita, Shadow Priestess. Alright, so this was a pretty good card that you would see in a lot of purple decks and decks that use this purple faction. So that's about the cards. The command zone is also unique because you have 3 cards, up to 3 cards, that you can choose for your command zone. Your command zone determines what factions you can play. Up to 3 means that you have up to 3 different factions in your deck. Obviously, the higher the purity, then the better the cards. Which is just brilliant all around, I think. Being able to play from your command zone means that if you had an ability that you wanted to play, like some of the cards might have unique situations where you'll want to play it, or you'll always want to have it available. So it's a unique situation where if you build a deck and there's a specific card that you want to build around, well, you might not get that card if it's in your deck. But if you put it in your command zone, it'll always be available unless it gets killed, which it can get killed in the command zone, which is also cool. But that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind when you're building your deck. And remember, every card has a morale cost, or every character. Although some of them are at 0, but that's, generally speaking, every card has a morale cost too. This opponent, Demon Waste, is a computer or AI opponent, but they have a faction of Demon and Varroa, the purple guys. Demons are kind of pinkish, but I actually used to love the demon, having demon decks, because they are chaotic. So he's going to attack with a character in the assault zone here. Yeah, the other player, the Demon Waste player, has an option to defend, or he could also attack. Now remember, the turns resolve simultaneously, so you have to make some assumptions on where the other player is going to be putting their characters. And in this case, he decided the Demon Waste decided not to defend or attack. The Death Ray, which is that 3-cost card there that zaps, I like the animations too, but zaps the character. It'll only hit if that character is on the game board there, on either in the assault zone or the defense zone. So if you can pull back characters into the support zone to dodge things like that. And so, as you might guess, a lot of people got angry because they might think that people were screen sniping or were cheating somehow just because they are able to avoid these things. This guy isn't actually playing very well, neither one of them, but one of them's a bot anyway, so you wouldn't expect it to. But he's got a lot of weak cards out in the defense zone, and every faction has a special overpowered card that's unlimited. By that I mean that you can have any number of them in your deck. Normally you can only have a certain amount. I want to say it was 4, but to be honest, I don't remember. But every faction had an unlimited character where you could build the whole deck with just those if you wanted to. And in this case, it's this, as you might guess since you're looking at it, it's this chick here, Varroa. Oh, so there it is. That is the faction name, Varroa Death Worshipper. She has an ability, a passive. Whenever an enemy character dies without being sacrificed, Varroa Death Worshipper gets +2/+2. You can build her up very high, very quickly, because you can have an unlimited number of characters out in all of these different spaces. Ironically, that would slow the game down quite a lot if it carried on for too long. There'd be massive numbers and some of the cards actually would draw out a lot of characters, and so the support zones and it would take forever to fill everything out, and the order in which that you set up the cards, either in the defense or in the support, matters, because they're going to get hit in a certain order, or they're going to attack in a certain order. So you have to be careful, and figuring all that out at the same time in a specific amount of time, because your turns don't last forever. You're waiting on each other because they're simultaneous turns. But so this guy got hit, and he lost all of his low health cards there because of a spell, and now the enemy Varor Death Worshippers are much higher at like 16 and 16 health and damage. So it's not looking good for this guy. Some of these costs, another amazing thing, which we're not going to see in this replay here, is this trading post that you notice in the bottom right hand corner here, which is also another great concept, where if you are out of cards, or let's say you want to draw a card, you can pay 5 mana to do that. If you want to increase your mana, it goes up to a maximum of 10, but you can increase it further by paying for it in the trading post. I believe 1 extra mana was 9. You had to pay 9 mana to increase your mana resource up by 1. So, and there were some cards that cost more than 10. The only way to get it to play would either be special characters or to pay at the trading post. So there's another way to kind of change the game a bit, complicate it a little bit. And so we see this guy got wiped out. It wasn't, it's not beautiful to look at, but it's got charm, I think, anyway. And I really hope that they kept the same concept, they kept the gameplay, they kept everything, and just kind of remastered it. That would be wonderful. I really hope they did that. I'm scared that they didn't. I'm scared that they ruined it. But we'll find out, because we are going to be playing this probably tomorrow. So look forward to that. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. It means so much. It really does. So until then, until tomorrow, see ya.